Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our Wednesday webinar series. I'm your host, Garrett Anderson, the Marketing Director for Contract Furnishings Mart. Today, probably the best title we've had yet, Sheep Thrills. I can't take credit for it. My friend Judith did come up with that years ago. Judith is our factory rep for Unique Carpet Mills, and so we wanted to explore some of the things about wool fibers and some of the benefits, considerations. I know we've talked a lot about some synthetics like nylon and polyesters in the past. So today is wool's day to shine. So Judith, thank you for joining us today. Let's just dive right in. Why wool? Let's talk about the construction. Why would somebody consider using wool in their home?
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Garrett, this is a wonderful opportunity to talk about what wool does, what wool is, how we get here with these fibers. And one of the brochures I constantly go back to is Wools of New Zealand brochure. And the reason is because they are the educational arm for our industry. They're the ones who created the cleaning kits for wool. And they're the ones who have the scientists that work on what makes a good quality wool, how to raise the sheep, what to feed them, where to graze them, and what kind of sheep. And so they put together their little brochure, and I love to use this one because it's a picture.
Right.
And sometimes we can't read all the words, but we can look at pictures and we can see what the picture means.
Yeah, and I know this is going to be tough for everybody viewing to actually see it. So we will have some social media posts that highlight these a little bit clearer. So don't feel like you have to try to read all that or screenshot it right now. Just check in a little bit later today for some of those social media posts on Facebook, Instagram. So yeah, just touch base later.
You could probably print them down, print
Yeah.
them out.
No, I mean, this is really cool. I love to be able to see these things. And this is kind of our outline of today, talking about its resiliency and, stain resistance, and also some other things that I didn't personally know about how, it retains moisture and is actually flame retardant, and that kind of stuff we'll get into. So why don't we talk first about just the resiliency
the natural
of wool.
and resilient. Well, one of the things that happens, you see three different photographs of wool fiber. This is how wool grows on the sheep. They grow at different rates, and so the hair of the sheep crimps over. You could actually try to stretch that out. You could try to wash it and stretch it or iron it and keep it straight. It will always go back to that original spring-like construction. And that's
kind of what we talk about with nylon and that resiliency. This is just a step up from that.
Well, it's, we've had to do those kinds of things with nylon chemically. With wool, it's a natural thing. It's the way the fiber grows. Very curly. And so when you make a carpet out of resilient type of fiber like that, the hair, it actually will spring back. So that's what gives it its retention for beauty over a long term.
Interesting.
Is it's naturally resilient then. So if you're stepping on it, it comes up, and if you put furniture on it and you remove the furniture, depending on how heavy it is or how long it's been on that carpet, the wool fibers will actually come up as the air hits it and the moisture hits it again. So probably retain most of its little marks on the carpet.
Interesting. Yeah, so especially for high traffic areas, this is an awesome solution.
Yes. And one of the things it doesn't do is ugly out very soon. Like on some of the old nylons that were first created, they uglied out pretty quickly. So the nylon industry had to learn how to keep those resilient as well. Well, wool does that naturally because of how the hair of the sheep grows.
Yeah, now looking at this picture, it kind of has a scale on the fiber itself, right?
This does. Well, we can talk about that, but actually these scales around each fiber, they represent the fiber of the sheep. Around each fiber is a vegetable matter. It kind of grows in order to protect it. And when we talk about natural stain resistant, we're talking about not allowing water to penetrate the inner core of the fiber because of this natural membrane that grows around it. But it allows vapors to get through. So what you have is a high moisture content in wool fiber itself.
And it breathes very well.
It breathes very well, but most of your stains, they're water-based, aren't they? About 80% of them.
Right.
So if it does not allow those water stains to penetrate the inner core, because it doesn't allow water to get through,
They're on the outside where
you
you can
can
clean
get,
it.
you can get to it easier and faster. And a lot of carpet cleaners will tell you they can clean up more out of wool than
Really?
sometimes synthetics because of that.
So okay, your maintenance on wool is basically the same as a nylon, correct? You're going to be vacuuming regularly, and then an annual or so professional cleaning?
No, you don't even have to do that annually. You can go much longer with a wool carpet if you're vacuuming on a regular basis.
Gotcha.
But the other thing that moisture content does is it makes it naturally flame retardant as well, so that it actually self-extinguishes rather than flames up.
Interesting.
Because of the moisture in the fiber. And then it also keeps your static electricity down.
Very cool. So, I mean, obviously by comparison, we're talking, petroleum-based products like a nylon or olefin.
And those are
polyester.
flammable.
Those are going to light up pretty quick, because they're oil-based.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Very interesting.
And then you talked about the scales.
Yeah.
There are about 2,000 of these scales per inch on every fiber.
Seems like a lot.
That is a lot.
Okay.
What it does, the function, is that it holds your dirt to the top in your soil.
Okay.
So this is why vacuuming is one of the most important maintenance tools that you can use, and using the right kind of vacuum in order to keep your dirt out. What usually abrades a fiber is that the dirt gets down and wears the fiber. With wool, it stays at the top. So if you can get your customer to understand, good vacuuming takes all of that out, and sometimes with just suction, but we recommend actually that you use a beater bar on wool carpeting.
Which is still like an adjustable height beater ball?
With it, it's got to be adjustable.
Right.
We give a couple of examples of vacuums that you should not use on it. A self-adjusting vacuum, because it will determine how far down to go on the fiber. And if it does that, you don't have the control over that. So what happens, it actually grinds the carpet rather than grooming it. And so you want to groom that. And so what you're going to do is just touch the top of the fiber with your beater bar. So usually a vacuum that adjusts between 1 and 5.
Okay.
And about 3 usually does it. And it just goes across the top. It takes all the fuzz, the excess fuzz out, and keeps your carpeting from fuzzing down the road.
Yeah. Is that a normal concern, having like some lint, some fuzzing?
Sometimes people are really afraid of that, and they're saying, my carpet's fuzzing up. And
just tell them to vacuum it?
Yeah, it's the type of vacuum that you're using and how you're vacuuming. So it's a simple thing to correct.
Okay.
Just simply by using the right vacuum and pulling that top layer of dirt and soil out.
All right, so this is probably the most natural fiber that we can think of. We were talking about this morning.
It is.
These sheeps are, they're even branded, you said?
Well,
there's like specific types?
In New Zealand, yes. These are all farm co-ops, and they have scientists that work with them on what to feed them and all that, and they've actually helped brand 6 brands of white sheep. So that's the purest. So what you can do with wool nowadays is not just have a simple, very small loop, browns and beiges. That's still major what we sell, but you can also get colors.
So it's not just the red or the blue or the purple sheep. Actually, you're starting, especially with the wools of New Zealand sheep.
Yes.
Since they are starting with that white base, that white hair,
they have something.
Then you can
create.
You can add those pigments.
Your vibrant colors can come from that.
And those dyes are actually being drawn into the
inner core of the
hair.
fiber. Correct. So every wool carpet has a similar characteristics, except if they're not using the white sheep, and they're using blacks and browns. Right behind you is a book that we had from Unique. This is Canton. It's one of our newer ones. These are the actual colors of the sheep.
Right.
So you'll find that you've got little dark fibers in there, blacks and browns and beiges. But if you look at a sheep, you know, this is not necessarily going to be wolves of New Zealand.
How's the consistency on that?
It's actually pretty good. We'll keep Architect folders for 5-6 years. We had one softer than Sisal and unique that we've had in the line for 30 years. And all we've done is updated the colors on some of those. So the consistency actually is pretty good.
Would you say more of your customers are leaning towards the as natural as possible with just the natural heathers and pigments instead of going with a more bold color?
It's most of what we sell for the average day in and day out on carpeting, because it's more reasonable too. Whenever you get into your custom dyes or your carpets that have more fiber in them, you're going to pay more.
Right.
And so if you want a specialty look like this,
yeah, I mean,
you're using them for area rugs.
Pricing is always a function of what type of fiber and how much fiber they're packing in, right?
Exactly.
Because I look at this and I would not peg that as a wool fiber. I mean, we're so used to seeing them short and tight loop or chunky loops. So I was actually pretty impressed to see that you have those shaggy options in addition to a wide range of color options as well. So you really aren't limited with wool in the style you want.
No, you're not. And when you get into something like this, you can color the individual fibers and tell us how much fiber has this color, what kind of yarn has that color. We can also do between 5 and 15 feet wide on many of our specialties.
Yeah, I know some people have been looking for a wider roll so that they don't have to incorporate seams, and most of the options come in a natural fiber like a wool.
Yeah.
In that width.
Yeah, exactly.
What other trends are you seeing with these styles? I mean, again, this is kind of unique, but you have a lot of these chunky loops and stuff as well.
We do. We have, and a lot of people like that for texture. Even if you did a neutral color, we've halved this one so that you can see what a cut fiber looks like. That just means your fiber is sheared and cut and points up, and the loop. So that's the difference between that.
So this started as this. You just tip shear it, or you put two different ones together?
They can put two together.
Interesting.
And on this particular machine, because there are different machines that can manufacture different styles of custom. This one actually can do 18 wide by 12 and a half tall. So you can have that wide a carpet, if you can get a carpet installer to lift it,
Right.
On the other end, sometimes we have to build crates for some of these heavier products.
Is the backing any different?
No, it's latex, and you have a primary back, secondary back. So, and then some of our carpets have a jute back as well.
Okay.
Which is a softer fiber.
And a natural fiber too. So is that just an additional layer of the green story you can incorporate?
That's the secondary layer that goes on.
Okay.
So, it looks like jute.
All of these, no matter the backing, are zero VOC, correct?
Correct. Wool gives off zero VOC. You can actually throw it into a landfill, and it puts nutrients into the ground. So we don't have trucks shipped across the country trying to recycle your old carpeting and get it out.
Well, side note, she mentioned today that she actually uses recycled old carpet, old wool carpet in her garden to help, because that just biodegrades and actually provides a lot of food for the soil.
I was doing some lettuce in pots some years ago, and one of the mills suggested, hey, this really grows. And Wools in New Zealand did that on grass to biodegrade some of the wool carpeting, and the grass was greener where they put the wool scrapings. And so I did it for my pots of lettuce, and my lettuce just exploded that year. And all I did was I lined some pots with old wool carpet, and it biodegraded, and put my dirt in, and off the plants took.
What other benefits do you have to indoor air quality? I think we were talking earlier about carpet in general has better air quality for a space than a hardwood, because those dust fibers or whatever aren't sitting on the surface. They're kind of trapped in there. But wool kind of takes it a step further, correct?
Yes. The inner core of the fiber, because it can accept vapors, it also can clear the air of dangerous things like formaldehyde or sulfide dioxide,
Huh.
and those kinds of things. And Wool's New Zealand scientists actually did a study over a 30-year period, and it never re-released those. It just stayed in the inner core. So a lot of commercial buildings use wool, and Wool's of New Zealand does the also the testing on what makes a good quality wool, and on their fibers, when they do the testing on commercial carpets, they actually put their ratings on there. You can use this for heavy traffic or medium traffic, or yes, that kind of thing. So a lot of commercial buildings use wool carpeting in the enclosed areas to help purify the air. So
what about kids and pets?
Kids and pets crawl on the carpeting the closest to any of us, unless we're down there wrestling with them.
Right.
But they're breathing in all those things, so it's healthier for them because they're close to that. And even wool fiber is approved for asthma sufferers because it's too large to inhale. So you have a healthier environment when you use something like wool.
Interesting. All right, do you want to show off any new styles or anything that you guys are excited about before we cut you loose?
A couple of these were our new ones here. We have Canton, and we have, we also have different divisions in Unique. We have Pet Protect, which is a whole system of nylon, and one of the things about wool is it's a low luster. It's an opaque fiber, so you don't see your dirt as much. What we did with our nylons is we made them 57 ounces, which is a little heavier than some of the Pet Protect you see out there, and we made them low luster, so it's really hard to tell them from a wool. We wanted to do something a little bit differently.
Interesting.
And then we also did some shags with our nylon carpets as well. So that's a whole division that we do with our carpeting. And then we also have, I think on the end here.
Well, I like this one, this Bahama Shores. You're talking about, incorporating some of the blacks or darker tones. I mean, that's a big, chunky loop there.
And you can actually do some custom coloring on that.
Oh, really?
Because we make.
Now, you can do rugs as well, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we make them right there.
And that's got to be a huge trend right now. I mean, obviously, we're still talking about a lot of hard surface throughout the home, but adding these, and if they're going to be in smaller areas, maybe you can get a higher quality, better piece of carpet if it's only going to be in an area rug or a couple bedrooms.
And we try to be affordable. This year, we didn't raise our prices at all, except on the sisals and seagrasses, because these are imported products. But we also have all of these natural products for sisals and seagrass. So that's another division that we have.
Are those good for indoor, outdoor?
No, this is just indoor, But we make area rugs out of those as well. And we try to remind you on the boards what kind of...
different border options.
The different border options. You can do a regular binding or a serging, and then on the back of all of our architect folders, we can show you our wider bindings. So you have color choices there.
Nice. And always a cute little sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta have your sheep.
Well, I think we covered it today. Again, check back in a little bit later because we want to share some of these different stats and images that we talked about today. I want to really thank you for your time coming out and hang out with us. You are a wealth of knowledge. And if you have any questions, of course, follow up. We have, I think, these displays, and we have the wool fibers and the green story options in all of our locations. And so if there's anything we don't know, Judith does.
Oh, thank you very much, Garrett.
Well, thank you very much again. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.